anyway, yeah, I'll just start with the circle that represents the outer diameter, and we'll go from there. So I'll just, I would like to put it at 0, 0. For not knowing any better, I guess, not, not planning ahead further than maybe I'll use that coordinate at the center being 0, 0 for all the other details, like maybe the circles in a pattern at a certain diameter around it, the bolt holes basically. So there. All right, so this is a 4-inch diameter. So that's the outer edge. And I have the next inner edge. Guess I should show that. So yeah, there's the 4-inch diameter, and then I'm going to go to the 2.24-inch diameter. There is another hole here that has a 1.753-inch diameter, and I'm not going to worry about the tolerances quite yet. That's only when you dimension. So we're good for that. Okay, 2.24. And then the other hole that is actually, I could put it on the hidden layer just because that'll help me. So it's a diameter of something, 0.753 or something. 1.75. Go, that's the inner hole. Yeah, I think I will put it on the hidden layer just so I can keep it straight in my. So that's that inside edge. And then I'll go to the outer and inner hole. And then I have this other one, which is a thread. So that's the next actually biggest one. So I'll use that first, 1.5625. So is that 5/16? No. Yeah. I don't know what fraction. And then the 1.25, and then the inner hole is 0.753. There we go. Okay, so this would be basically my top view, yeah, of this thing. So I'm going to use that to draw the, obviously, so I'll use a polyline, and I'll start at the center. And it doesn't, I don't have to give the too much room here, so I'm just going to start here. And then, actually, I don't want to start in the center because I'm just going to draw the edge. So this is the inside edge of the hole, and then it comes to the outside edge of the hole, right there, and then it drops down, and then I use the, what do you call it? Hello? The linear dimensions here to figure out where that is. So, yeah, it starts at the bottom, so maybe I should have started at the bottom. That's okay, actually. You know, I started with the polyline, but I could skip that and I could just do some math, I guess. Well, actually, that's not too bad. So 0.437 would be the difference here to this edge. Oh, and they're both at a 30-degree angle. Okay, so 0.437. And that's actually to the outside edge of the thread, so that's this circle. So hover over something once, and you pick up the grip, and you hover over it twice to drop it. I don't think I got it. No. Right there. There we go. Okay, so I drew it at a 90-degree angle. I'll have to fix that in a minute, but go on. Doesn't tell me how long those threads are, does it? Oh, I do have some information over here, though. Okay, so I'm going to pause there for it, and I'll start at the bottom and come back out. So the center is going to be the hidden edge out to, actually I'll start at the outer edge and come back in. .624 from the top. There, I can come into this edge. And that obviously comes into the, I can start on this end. 5. So 0.937 minus 0.25 would give me 0.673. No, 0.6. 8.7. And then I have another, oh, that is actually to the bottom of that thread. So, back it up. So it's actually 0.573 minus that, so that's 0.73 plus 2.5, 0.25. So 0.323. That comes all the way to 0.364. So from the bottom of the thread, it goes up at a 30-degree angle and meets with that, and then it goes from a 30-degree angle to the base. So that should work. Just need to draw an extra line here at 30 degrees. And then draw a line at 30 degrees here. I can just remove that vertex. Whew, that was fun. Okay, and so that's the shape I want, so I can join all these guys together and revolve it. So in the top view, it's going to be, so I need to rotate this. So generally, that's all I need for those. And I'll just put the holes in it and I'm done. So piece of cake, right? Okay, let's start over here. The first thing you probably want to do is set the page up to be in portrait, just because it's a top and front view basically, so I think it'd be better off that way. So let's take a look at, I don't want to project from here because that's actually going to be the sectioned view, right? So O for orientation, and I'll start with the top view, and I think I want to go with the full scale here. Yeah. So scale it, and there it is. And then that's it. I don't want to project anything right now. I'll put the hidden lines and, well, actually, just the center lines on this. There are a couple things about that we'll talk about, but let's go right to the section view, right? So I want to section this thing, but we'll talk about offset and align later too, but we'll pick a half section and pick this view for the half section. Now, it's not altogether clear how to make this happen. It just says specify start point. Like, start point for what? You might think. Well, what they mean is the cutting plane line, right? So the line that represents the chopper, right? How you're gonna open this thing up. So the way that it's kind of shown in the PDF here is it's actually, you know, if I look at this from the top view, the left, it would take out the lower left corner of this thing, right? So that's what I'm going to do. That's called a half section because in the front view, half of it is section, right? Although in this view, a quarter of it is being removed. But so that's not what the term is referring to anyway. So okay. So I'm going to start over here somewhere, just off the part. It could be on the part, but I prefer not to. And then I go to the center, and then I'll come out the bottom. And that way, that's the corner that I take off, and then I'll place this, well, from the center, yeah, well, I'll just measure it later. And there we go. And so we can see that I have a full non-section view on the right side of this thing and a section view on the left side of the thing. That's how it works. Right? That's pretty much it. Well, okay, so that's it for how AutoCAD builds this view for you, but there's some work to do here because, well, let's go with the center lines, right? There are some issues with that. So go home and pick up my center lines, and maybe in the annotate ribbon I could you know, just draw that center mark, which is great. But what about these guys? These are in a radial pattern, so I can't use, don't do this, right? We don't want to see that. Maybe if you're, you know, I don't know, rotate that, but then you don't need both those lines, really. So this is what it should look like. I would project out at a 45-degree angle a little bit and then draw this thing through here. Maybe not even off the edge, just something like that. And if you're lucky, you can get that to be sort of, yeah, I don't like, I wouldn't bother spending that much time trying to get that the small dash at the center of this thing. If you really wanted to, you could just draw a small line and a long line, but this looks pretty good. Okay, and then I only need 3 more of these things, so I'll just use the mirror tool to get these suckers in the right place. So that's what that radial pattern ought to produce. Okay, so you're familiar with that, I think, more or less. Okay, front view. Well, is that it? I think that's it for the top view. I mean, that's the completed top view for that matter, besides dimensions. Okay, front view, center lines. There's only like 2 that I can see, right? Well, there's, yeah. Okay, let's see. It's nice to put, I'll offset this by a 1/16 of an inch, a nice little gap there, and just make that like 0.15 or something. So a nice little tick, right? I'll mirror that to the bottom. If I had a center, oh yeah, I can be. There we go. So those ticks represent the center that you're not supposed to draw center lines over object lines, right? So that's the deal there. If you're drawing this manually, you could use the center line as to replace the object line or the visible line. So in any case, those are your choices. Let's look at, we could use the center line for this guy right here. So that's nice. What's my line type scale? Maybe something like that, I guess. Yeah, I kind of messed it up. I'm going to go back to a nice one. Well, I kind of don't like that. Well, anyway, we'll mess with that. That kind of messed up that. I'm going to pick a line type scale, 0.25 maybe. And then I'll do that line that I didn't want to do in the first place. Just draw it across here and extend it out by kind of a visually 0.05. See if it breaks. Go out another 0.05. Enough. Then I'll just connect. That way, extra pretty. I actually have the small dash at the center. Oh, and that reminds me, I need that circle. This gets dimensioned, right? So I can dimension that those holes are on a certain diameter. So that's important too. Okay, pretty much you'd think that was it, right? Well, I have a thread also, right? So hidden line time. There it is. And I'm going to draw a line for my thread. This is, you know, I don't have like a chamfer. I mean, that is sort of chamfered, but it's not chamfered like a thread would be. If the threads aren't chamfered, this would be like molded and then threaded. So there's a thread all the way through it. So I'm just going to, you know, come over a 16th again. And just draw a line straight down. Good enough. And am I going to draw it over here? It's going to look like crap if I do. I don't think I want to do that. See, that's just hanging out there in the middle of nowhere, and then I want to leave. So I either have to draw the hidden lines for the edges here so it can actually touch an edge, or leave it out. So I think leaving it out might be the better choice. Okay. How do you dimension like the holes here, like the inner holes here? Well, okay, let's look at this bottom indentation and the bottom hole in this, the counter bore in the bottom of this thing. Well, that's a hidden line in the top view, so I can't dimension that. I can dimension the hole in the top. Since it's a counter bore, so the problem is I can't dimension it here, and I only have half of it here. So what do? You can do, in fact, the book may show, you can do like a broken dimension or something like that, and it's not worth it, really. Well, yeah, see, you don't want to dimension it with the radius either, because, yeah, you could dimension it from the center to the outside edge, but to build a broken dimension, you have to explode it and then just show like half the dimension there. Sometimes you could draw the hidden lines. Oh, well, in fact, oops, don't want to do that. If I double click this view, I could just change it to visible and hidden lines, right? And so now this is an example of when, yeah, I wouldn't suggest this, but at this point, you could dimension like this, right? Okay, not on the hidden layer, but right? Okay, let's put that on the right layer. Thought I put that mess that up? Did I put something else in? Anyway, you could do this where you're not technically dimensioning to a hidden line because, well, half of it's not, I guess. So you could do something like that, and that's fine. But the problem is you have all this other stuff in it, and you just ruin the purpose of having those a section view, because now you have all these hidden, you know, just for that one dimension. Not worth it, in my opinion. Okay, so let's try something else. Go back to just visible lines. That looks so much cleaner, so much nicer. How about use a formed hole kind of dimension, right? So let's look at that. Yeah, you know, get a multi-liter, yeah. Or actually, let's use a diameter on the center here. Oh, I'm still. I thought I changed that. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, diameter, and I'll put the diameter somewhere, right? Something like this, right? Well, that is, okay, that's the through hole, right? So that's nice. Let's edit that a little bit and go to the end, add a line here. Let's middle left, justify that. Or should it be left? Yeah, middle left, I guess, what I want. Okay, and then I need the depth of the counter. Well, a counterbore symbol is just a V in lowercase in GDT font, yeah. And that would be the diameter of the counterbore of, so what's the diameter of the counterbore? That would be this guy right here. So the 1.753. Right, and one more line, and that's X for the depth symbol. And the depth of that is something, whatever the depth of that counterbore is, 0.375, right? And then I actually need a plus minus and then that 0.005, right? So, okay, and the last thing to put in here, in fact, maybe I'll put it on there. And put it on the far side, right? So the counterbore is on the opposite side. There we go. And then I'll still make that precision 3 there. Oh. Why didn't that work? Oh, I chose the wrong thing. Anyway, that takes care of that dimension. Well, sort of. I need to fix that up just a bit more. And don't put a center mark on that. And then, so now it's all pretty. So that dimensions that whole, the entire hole, the formed hole, the counterbore and the hole itself. So good enough. Nice. Okay, that should be more or less it. I guess the last little thing here is that it's preferred that the dimensions for these circular features go on the longitudinal view, right? Kind of like we talked about with the fitting, the previous assignment. So most of those dimensions, you know, you try to put them on here, but you know, that's going to get ugly pretty quick. So you know, you would, there's several, right? And they'd be linear. So here's the outside edge, right? You can go like that and put it on there. I mean, you could do this. That's awful, right? Or you could put it on the bottom. But then, you know, what do you weigh against putting, we kind of like to group our dimensions between the views. That's not, although that is pretty convenient. So I would say that's not a bad solution right there. And then the other dimensions, you got this one, and then that's going to get in the way. See, that's, long extension lines, kind of ugly, not very good. Maybe that would go better on that top view, I think, because I'm going to need another diameter here, but that's going to be on a leader. Now I have this leader that has to fight with these extension lines, and yeah. So what I mean by the leader here, I need to dimension these threads, right? So I put these threads in here. Yeah, I thought it was going to go away. That's why I didn't bother typing that in. So I guess it's going to be okay. So there's the dimensions for threads at UNC. It's a course. Yeah, that should be Unified National. That's a course thread, 16 threads in it. That's course, I guess. And then -2A. So they left that out, right? So there's that. And that looks, nice so far. And then, yeah, I would defer the diameters of these other holes. That takes care of that large one over there. And that, that leaves me room to, be appropriate here for the top. So something like that. Cool. And then maybe this could go on the other side, because I'll need to dimension the height. The linear dimensions on the right side would be nice. So maybe this could go over here. Something like that. And then I have all that room to do all the linear type dimensions and stuff. So yeah, spend a little bit of time trying to make that work and take out the center lines for some of those dimensions. Yeah. Okay, anyway, good enough.